In early 2025, astronomers began tracking an unusual interstellar object designated 3 Atlas. At first, it was just another faint speck moving across the outer solar system, one more icy fragment from the void beyond our star. It appeared to behave like a comet following a long curved path toward the sun. But within weeks, it became clear that this was no ordinary visitor. 3 Atlas's motion defied the expectations of every existing model. It accelerated when it shouldn't have, altered its trajectory without apparent cause, and emitted rhythmic patterns of heat that no natural process could easily explain. What began as a quiet entry in a telescope log soon became the most closely watched object in the night sky. The first anomalies were subtle. Ground-based observatories in Hawaii and Chile reported irregularities in the object's velocity, tiny, almost imperceptible jumps in speed. At first, scientists assumed sensor noise or computational error. But as more telescopes joined the observation campaign, the same data appeared again and again. 3 Atlas was accelerating, not smoothly, but in discrete bursts. Each increase in speed came at precise intervals followed by stretches of calm. In orbital simulations, this created a stair-step pattern, unnatural and unmistakable. Typical comets accelerate when frozen gases near their surfaces vaporize under sunlight, venting jets of dust and gas that act like miniature thrusters. But those bursts are chaotic. They vary in direction and intensity, producing irregular motion. 3 Atlas, on contrast, seemed coordinated. Every acceleration came from the same vector. The intervals between them were nearly identical. Nothing in known comet physics could produce such regularity. When researchers at Harvard compared notes with teams at the European Southern Observatory, they found that all their data matched down to the second. That was when the first whispers of an extraordinary possibility began to circulate. The word steering appeared in informal chats in private reports. It wasn't meant as a declaration of alien control, at least not yet, but it captured what the data seemed to suggest. This object wasn't being pushed around by sunlight or random chemistry. It was guiding itself. Within weeks, the James Webb Space Telescope was redirected to investigate. Webb, designed to study galaxies billions of light years away, now had a far closer and more enigmatic target. Its infrared instruments recorded something that shocked even the most skeptical analysts. The object's heat emission pulsed in perfect rhythm. Every few minutes, a measurable wave of thermal energy radiated from 3 Atlas's surface, then faded, then returned. The pattern wasn't random. It followed a precise sequence of prime number intervals. 2, 3, 5, 7, 11 repeating. Prime numbers are rare in nature. They are a mathematical construct, not a physical one. And when they appear in data, they often signal human or computational design. At first, astronomers suspected interference from Webb's instruments. But when observatories in South America and the Canary Islands independently confirmed the same pattern, the coincidence became impossible to ignore. Nature, it seemed, had found a way to count or something within 3 Atlas had. Spectral analysis deepened the mystery. Comets are typically composed of water, ice, methane, ammonia, and silicate dust. Yet, 3 Atlas reflected a spectrum rich in nickel, cobalt, and other metals in ratios that hinted at refinement, not chaos. These elements didn't just exist. They were concentrated in bands like engineered alloys. The emission pattern suggested the metals were being heated and expelled directionally, perhaps through vents or channels. To propulsion engineers, it looked disturbingly familiar, the behavior of an active drive system. Officially, NASA described the phenomenon as unusual ouching. Unofficially, internal memos referred to it as technologically suggestive. The difference in language reflected a growing unease. No one wanted to use the word artificial prematurely, but no one could rule it out either. As the months passed, 3 Atlas's course became even more deliberate. Instead of arcing randomly through the solar system, it gradually flattened its trajectory into the ecliptic plane, the same narrow disk where all the major planets orbit. Statistically, the odds of a random interstellar object aligning so perfectly with this plane were less than 1 in 10,000. For spacecraft engineers, though, the maneuver was instantly recognizable. It mirrored what human probes do when optimizing visibility or planning flybys. Physicist Michio Kaku, known for his cautious optimism about extraterrestrial life, broke from his usual restraint. Nature doesn't fine-tune trajectories for visibility, he said in an interview. Intelligence does. The quote spread rapidly through both scientific circles and popular media. To many, Kaku's statement gave weight to what others had only whispered, that 3 Atlas might be controlled. By late September, its motion grew even stranger. Telescopes around the world recorded a repeating sequence of orientation changes. The object rotated, then stabilized, then rotated again, each time followed by a small burst of acceleration. These rotations weren't random. They corresponded to specific angles, as though 3 Atlas were reorienting itself toward fixed targets in space. Each maneuver occurred exactly 17 minutes after the last. In orbital models, the pattern formed what looked like a deliberate flight path, a smooth descent into the inner solar system along a curve optimized for observation. At this point, some researchers began to call the movement alien-like. The term was not an accusation of alien control, but shorthand for a type of behavior never seen in natural bodies. Every known comet tumbles unpredictably. 3 Atlas, by contrast, acted as though obeying a program. Its bursts were so precise that analysts compared them to timed orbital insertions, the same maneuvers human spacecraft perform when adjusting course around planets. The object's behavior wasn't just an anomaly. It was a message in motion written in physics rather than words. Then came the first evidence that it might also be sending signals hidden within its infrared emissions, or faint but repeating bursts, each separated by exact pauses, not chaotic intervals, but structured gaps. When cross-checked with microwave data from the Very Large Telescope in Chile, the pulses were confirmed. They followed prime number sequences and were oriented along Earth's orbital corridor. In theoretical SETI research, prime sequences have long been proposed as the simplest universal signal of intelligence, a pattern that no random process would likely create. Here it was, embedded in the heartbeat of a real physical object drifting between Mars and Jupiter. NASA and the European Space Agency convened private encrypted sessions with linguists, mathematicians, and data scientists. Leaked reports suggested that the team was analyzing the signals for syntax, searching for repetition, recursion, or harmonic encoding that might indicate communication. None of their findings were released publicly. Meanwhile, the military took notice. Classified documents later revealed that the U.S. Space Command had reclassified 3-2 Atlas as a technological unknown of potential extraterrestrial origin. Within 48 hours, the secretive X-37B space plane launched on an unscheduled mission. Its orbit was curiously aligned with the interstellar object's path. Analysts speculated that it carried instruments designed to test whether 3 Atlas's emissions could be intercepted or jammed. At the same time, the Navy and Air Force asked portions of the deep space network to monitor it continuously. No official explanation was given.